right. Hello, Alyssa. Hello, Lily. Hello, Eventide IL. Welcome. Slower twice in a row. So, the Wanderer is kind of one that I've been not apprehensive to do, but a little worried about because I know the Scimitar is just kind of a worse curved sword, and I very recently did the curved sword playthrough, but the Scimitar also isn't exactly bad, so I don't think this will be a terrible run. We'll see how this goes. A goodish Scaramouche? I don't know. Good question. I don't listen to enough Queen to answer that question. Yeah, if you're here already, early likes do genuinely help the algorithm a lot. I mean, likes in general, any like engagement with the video, likes, subscribing if you're not already subscribed, um, even chatting, I believe does help boost the stream and the algorithm. So if you're enjoying, I would really appreciate a like. Lets me know that I'm doing the right thing, and also helps me get more viewers, which helps me survive. I probably grab the shield. I forgot this is a starter class run. Okay, scimitar and leather shield. I don't think the leather shield is going to be even remotely useful. But it might be slightly easier to parry, which does not matter at all. I appreciate that, Alyssa. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so the scimitar, again, is just kind of like, I don't know, a worse Falchion. I don't think it's worth going for 27 strength for this run. So I'll probably only be leveling dexterity to 40. And then that's probably it for damage stats. Then just endurance and vitality. I guess we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. It's a starting class run. I can't imagine it'll be very complicated or difficult. But I don't expect this to be the best starting class by any means. Can you stop shooting me? I know I could press the roll button, but that's a lot of effort that you're asking of me when I haven't played this game in like a week. But yeah. Double hit. We love to see it. I know the two-handing... I've been playing too much Night Rain. Two-handing does not matter for damage in Night Rain. It only changes the moveset. Because the motion values don't work the same as they do here. So I need to get used to Dark Souls 1 again, as I do every week. I don't know. Night Rain's fun. Been playing Scholar a little bit more. Highly recommend the DLC if you already enjoyed the base game. Just more and better. Okay, so Large Ember off the bat, obviously. I'm excited for the Thief because I'm going to be able to start with Fire Bombs, and I think that's going to add a little bit of interest to the beginning of the run. And, I don't know, hope with maybe a Hydra or something. Don't have Night Rain yet because no money? Yeah. That's fair. You know, it's not like an incredibly steep price for how much you actually get in the game. I have like 500 hours in the game, which is my second most played FromSoft game. I mean, Dark Souls 2 is close just because of other platforms and versions, but I have definitely played more Night Rain than Dark Souls 2. I have over 500 hours in Night Rain now. Yeah, let's see if I can get depth clip somewhat quickly. Computer couldn't run it? Oh. As far as I know, at the lowest quality, it's not incredibly difficult to run, but I can't imagine it would be that much easier than Elden Ring, if at all. So, hello Manu, welcome. Okay, I was confident. Then my confidence started waning when I actually got toward the bottom, but it's fine. Made it. Peter can't run Dark Souls 3. Okay, yeah, that's not the best performance-wise. Quite a bit harder. Yeah, that makes sense then. I don't know, even at lowest? Maybe I'm just going like based on normal Elden Ring settings and minimum Night Rain settings. Hello, Gian. Welcome. I recognize that username, but as far as I know, it's been a while since I've seen your name around. Hope you enjoy your time here. I probably should have leveled before coming down into the depths, but I can use these tools to buy some old pine resin for Seath or something. Oops. Okay, not the best damage, but also have no dex. I wonder. I don't think it's really the case with the Falchion, but like with the whip, right? You get basically no damage until you're at 40, level 40 dex of 15, or plus 15 upgrade level. I wonder if a similar thing is going to be true of the Scimitar, because like I feel like the Scimitar is going to be very usable. It's not that much worse than the Falchion. Oh my goodness, come on. Really? There you go. Is it even worth killing this guy? Probably not. Did I get the Steam recap? I don't know, I just opened it and it gave me the Steam replay notification, so I clicked on it. If it didn't give it to you automatically, it should be on your profile thingy. But the Steam news thingy should have that. Oh yeah, it's on the front of the store page too, yeah. Night Rain was my most played game this year. I expected it to be Dark Souls 1, given that I play it at least once a week, and I did not play Night Rain once a week. But Night Rain actually edged it out by like 4 hours. Primarily because of the DLC releasing this month. Otherwise, it would have been Dark Souls 1 for sure. Oh, this is unfortunate. Okay. No kick attack on the Scimitar, obviously. I don't think that's going to matter at all. You do get the cool backflip now. Oh my god. Oh my god. There we go. Yeah, most of my Night Rain hours were in September, but it wouldn't have come close to Dark Souls 1 if the DLC hadn't come out this month. Uh-oh. Everything's fine. Get up, please. I want to get some gold pine resin. The dog gonna fall? No, surprisingly. I thought I was slow enough that the dog was definitely gonna fall. Oh. Everything's fine. Not even close. I mean, I don't need 3, do I? It's not like I have anything else in here that I want. Okay, that's fine. I'm not seeing any issues on my end. At least, if I do have issues on my end, OBS isn't telling me. Okay, I need, there's a bunch of soul items I can get along the way that'll let me get my weapon to plus 10 for sure. I'm considering doing Quelaag first, just for levels. Because I want to get my damage stats as quickly as possible. I also don't know if it's worth getting to plus 10, then coming back down to New Londo to get the very large jumper and some chunks, but I don't know. It'll be fine. Oh, Steam, not stream. Okay. It's Tuesday. So, Steam is in fact going offline today for a couple hours for scheduled maintenance. Wanderer is your favorite starting class? Is that for stats or the Scimitar specifically? Because I was worried about this one. Not worried, but I figured that the Scimitar would be pretty underwhelming here. and this would be one of the more underwhelming starting classes. I don't know. Oh no. Help. Everything's fine. There aren't any runs that I'm specifically worried about. I do think Thief is going to be the hardest, just because on longer boss fights, you know, they're not going to be super susceptible to bleed. But Pine Resin is always an option. Favorite was always Bandit? Yeah, I think Bandit is my favorite for stats. For gear, that would probably go to Pyromancer. Pyromancer or... I don't know, the club is really fun though. Wanderer armor? Yeah. I don't know. Oh my god. The Wanderer armor also isn't too difficult to get. It's slightly up from the bottom of Blighttown. I don't like the Bandit armor set at all, to be honest, but I'm excited to use the battle axe. Just because normal axes aren't a weapon class that I use very frequently. Okay, gotta hope I got a very good ghost pull right here. Favorite by vibes, primarily. That's fair. I don't know. I hesitate to say Pyromancer because Pyromancer is by far my most used class. I'm a little bit burnt out on it. I don't think that's true, actually. Now that I think about it, I think Bandit is more used just because I've used, or most weapons in this game scale really well off strength. I don't know. I should use Thief more. I kind of want to start, not like speedrunning this game regularly, but I think it'd be fun to do a few speedruns. And in that case, Thief would be the choice, obviously. Stop poking me. It's rude. Really wish I had bleed on this thing. If the scimitar had bleed, I think it would be a very good weapon, especially as a starting weapon. But because it doesn't, it just feels kind of underwhelming. There we go. Yeah, the Pyromancer armor is probably the most useful starting armor set. It's kind of just gold hemmed, but slightly worse. I mean, Pyromancy Flame is also really, really nice to not have to go into the depths for if you just want to use like power within. The hand axe is one of the best weapons in the game, full stop. So Pyromancer is very, very, very powerful compared to other classes, despite starting at level 1. Oh, right. I don't know. I'm doing this stream series because I thought it would be fun to make a video like talking about all the starter classes and seeing which one is, you know, quote unquote best or whatever. I need to quit out so I don't get zapped. And I don't know. I think Knight is going to be up there. I think Pyromancer is just going to be the best. I think Bandit is going to be up there for DPS alone. I don't know. We'll see. Pardon me. Axes are pretty quick in this game. Like just normal axes. Great axes are slow, but normal axes are one of the faster weapon classes. I would say axes might just be the equivalent of Dark Souls 3 straight swords because they have good DPS, like really good damage, really decent stance damage, which stance damage doesn't matter in Dark Souls 3, obviously, and really good speed, right? While straight swords in this game are a little bit more balanced in terms of their damage. I don't know. I think axes are probably the best weapon class in terms of damage, but I prefer halberds in general, just because I like the range on a lot of them, and like, you know, certain weapons like the Gargoyle's halberd are just unequivocally the best weapon in the game. Black Knight halberd is very overrated, but it's still a very good weapon, right? Especially if you get it early and have the stats to wield it early. It'll just shred through most of the game, no problem. despite the fact that there are other halberds that are just better. Oh, I forgot axes had the stumble and miss. Yeah, axes are very fast, but the stumble does definitely make them feel slower, especially if you do miss. Don't kick me. That was rude. What a jerk. I need to heal. I don't know. I think it's hard to rank weapon classes in this game because, like, you know, the Painting Guardian Sword is the best weapon in the game, but Scimitar kind of sucks. Or the Shotel kind of sucks. Daggers generally are really difficult to use unless you specifically go with weapon buffs, in which case, you know, they can be insanely powerful. But I still think curved swords would top them in that aspect. But daggers are incredibly diverse, right? You have insanely fast bleed buildup on the Bandit's Knife. You have really, really good damage on Brisella's dagger on top of the bleed buildup there. You have the normal dagger, which is just a really nice offhand weapon for spell swords. And then, like, hammers are really, really good for DPS and poise damage. But they also have the stumble and miss, so they're a little bit harder to use. On top of only dealing strike damage, which sometimes standard damage is preferable, or even slashing damage against certain enemies. So, I feel like it's hard to rank weapon classes in general. That's okay, Ben. You did miss a lot of Kalameet shenanigans last time, though, which is unfortunate. I hope you have a good day regardless. I don't know. I don't think the speed of the weapon really affects my enjoyment of it too much. At this point, I probably do enjoy faster weapons more than slower weapons. Slower weapons can be a bit cumbersome to use at times. But I don't know. I can definitely enjoy using slower weapons for sure. I think Dark Souls is a game that kind of not requires, but very much incentivizes. Ow. No. A lot of experimentation in general. I don't want to leave this way. Do I want RTSR? I think this would be a fun weapon to hyper mode with. Not hyper mode, but RTSR. Yeah, I don't know. Dark Souls requires a lot of oh my goodness. Help. A lot of experimentation with all weapon classes and everything in a lot of different ways. I don't think just giving a weapon a few practice swings really gives you an idea of the moveset in general very well in this game, which I don't really see as a flaw. If anything, it feels more intentional. I'm just gonna use a dark sign. Yeah, I mean, I've done, you know, a playthrough with almost every single weapon in the game at this point. I have 8, 9, I think I have 7 weapons left. 7 melee weapons, or 17, sorry. Normal melee weapons that I haven't done a playthrough with, because there's Wanderer, there's 8 starting classes, including Wanderer, and then there's 9 other weapons, other melee weapons, if I'm counting correctly. And I don't know. I'm very excited to use all of them because I think just normal weapon runs are some of the most interesting ways to engage with these games, to just like see how different certain weapons are. You can have something that seems really bad on paper, but is actually really good in a lot of scenarios, you know, like Vamos' hammer, where early game it just shreds everything extremely easily, and while it's not great in the late game, it can definitely hold you through a new game run, right? Or like the Ghost Blade seems like kind of alright. It's like, you know, the jagged Ghost Blade, but it's a dagger, so it attacks a little bit faster, but it's just like way, way, way worse. Or the jagged Ghost Blade, which also seems really bad on paper, but can easily carry you through like even a soul level 1 run, right? And like even in the same weapon class, the jagged Ghost Blade is dramatically different in use case scenarios from, say, the Scimitar, which, while they're both generally early game weapons, the Jagged Ghostblade has bleed and is a lot more useful early game, but falls off a lot quicker than the Scimitar. But since you can get the Falchion and Blighttown using the Scimitar, it feels less good, even though it's better than the Jagged Ghostblade. I mean, I haven't done a ton of playthroughs with bows and spells. I've never done, like... No, that's not true. I did a sorcery-only playthrough a long time ago. I just don't find something like that super interesting because the experience is going to be exactly the same with every single catalyst, right? Aside from the speed at which you attack, which I don't think would be super interesting personally. I don't know. I do think I could definitely do like a sorcery only playthrough or a miracle only playthrough or a pyromancy only playthrough, but otherwise I don't think that would be super fun. It's not like bows have dramatically different movesets either. Like I used the Moonlight bow, but I'm not going to use it for a full playthrough. I just don't think that would be interesting because it would just be, you know, a normal bow playthrough but with lower damage. Since they don't have super different movesets or use cases or whatever. As opposed to like, you know, again, like Scimitar or the Jagged Ghostblade, where on paper they seem really similar, but... I did do a bow-only playthrough, and I'm planning on doing a crossbow-only playthrough, and in my mind, that kind of makes up for the class discrepancy, or, you know, the lack of discrepancy in the class for using that style of weapon. I do think a miracle-only playthrough would be interesting, but the problem with that is I feel like there aren't that many ways to do it in different interesting ways. Like I could route to get, you know, Wrath of the Gods super early or, oh my goodness, or whatever, but in general, I think there's a lot of overlap with every other miracle only playthrough anyone else has ever done. I'll see. Like I was gonna do a sniper crossbow only playthrough because I thought it would be funny to like how I did a bow only, where that wasn't a challenge run because bows are insanely overpowered if you use them correctly. I figured the same thing would be true of crossbows, but the sniper crossbow reloads way too slow. So I never did that run. I might eventually, but you know. Manu, do you like puzzle games? Because the Tomb Raider games, I should have just pushed them off the edge in the first place. I don't know why I didn't do that. The Tomb Raider games are on sale, and I think they are very good puzzle games. I don't know how cheap the reboot trilogy is, but if you can get Tomb Raider 2013, I would highly recommend that. Otherwise, Tomb Raider Legend is really good, and that's usually less than $1. Hello, Dewey. Welcome. I mean, it's not even like just the spells themselves. It's that the catalysts are going to be exactly the same, right? So I'd have to pretty dramatically restrict what spells I'm able to use. And at that point, you know, if I'm like, oh, well, I can only use Soul Arrow, then I'm just sitting there spamming Soul Arrow for 10 minutes as opposed to spamming Soul Spear for 2. My brace is falling off and it's annoying. I really need to get compression gloves so this stops happening. I don't know, I feel like calling Tomb Raider puzzle games is a little reductive. They're more awareness and logic based than most puzzle games. Yeah, it is embracing my hand less and less. Extremely interesting how we'll fight, as usual. I have... Oh wait, no, it's more than 17, because I actually don't... I'm not planning on streaming a few weapons. Like Dark Hand, I'm not going to stream, right? Or... what other weapons? Straight Sword Hilt. The thing is, I don't know that I could make like broken straight sword interesting as opposed to straight sword hilt. I could be fun to do a look how much better broken straight sword is than straight sword hilt, despite it only being, you know, 50 AR or whatever. I think it's 100. I don't remember. But broken straight sword has double the AR of the straight sword hilt, and I think that would be a much easier run to do. Because I'm working on straight sword hilt so level 1, and getting double the physical AR would be huge. When's Avalon run? Avalon would be so uninteresting though, because it just gets less damage than the heavy crossbow. Like technically, it's slightly more per shot, but those shots take way longer. It's just like standing in a corner, spamming crossbow bolts for 5 minutes instead of 3. I just don't think that would be an interesting run. I don't think there's anything I could do there that would make it actually interesting and fun, as opposed to a heavy crossbow run. Fun. I think a great bow only run would be fun. I could do Wield Avalon, do a Bowman Guthrie playthrough in Dark Souls 1. In New Game Plus. Pavel's having a great time. He loves this. Which, to be fair, I would too. Doing Mailbreaker in Dark Souls 1? Pretty hard. Isn't it the Mailbreaker's a thrusting sword, right? It just has kind of short range. I'm doing that next month at some point. I want to say 3 weeks? 3 or 4 weeks from now. And I am interested in it. I don't think it's going to be... My preconceived notion is that I don't think it's going to be particularly difficult compared to a lot of other runs I've done. Like, I think Dragon Form only is going to end up being harder just because I can use weapon buffs, you know, on the Mailbreaker, but I guess that's not going to be too important for the DLC. I don't really struggle with DLC bosses anymore at this point, though, so we'll see how that goes. I'm considering getting the Leo ring for that run. We'll see. I'm really excited for that one, though, because the Mailbreaker is, like, genuinely really good in Demon's Souls, but I've never used it in Dark Souls 1. I do see whoever you are spamming the emoji. Had to completely relearn Gargoyles and Gaping Dragon. I don't know that it's possible for me to have to relearn a boss with any weapon. Oh yeah, Hydra's gonna be rough. Might grab fire bombs for that one, to be honest. I don't know. I am definitely looking forward to Mailbreaker, though. I think that's gonna be a fairly interesting run, just because using buffs on a fast light thrusting sword is gonna be fun. Oh wait, I forgot you need to physically pick up the Meat Cheerios. No, it's not gonna be another Cheerio situation. That only happened because yeah, I've beaten Dark Souls. God, how many times? I don't even know that I could count. I've beaten it, I think, 100 times on this channel alone. Around 100 times on this channel alone. And I've probably done another at least 50 playthroughs before I even started this channel. And then I've done several playthroughs, like, outside of the channel even after starting it. Hey, a chunk. Best part of this stream is done, yeah. Might as well go home. There's no more Havel to backstab, or to parry for 20 minutes. That is a stupid fast running attack, whoa. Range is shockingly good there. Hopefully that's a shard. Can you stop blocking? You're the straight sword one, you're not supposed to block. Stop it. Shard? Darn, waistcloth. Sad. However many weapons are plus 100 to be safe. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think there are 90 something weapons in this game. Not including bows and whatever, and catalysts, but that number might be a little off. I still want to do a 100% playthrough like getting literally everything in the game. I think that'd be fun. And I have a spreadsheet specifically designed to do that, but I don't know how to incorporate that into a video, you know? I feel like there is a way. I could just stream that. I don't know. That could be a fun, like, interesting send-off to Dark Souls 1. I'm really excited to start streaming Dark Souls 2 as well. But got a few weapons left in Dark Souls 1 to finish up before doing that. Oh my god, that's horrifying. Failing to parry the easiest enemy in the game to parry. Yeah, I plan on getting the Mailbreaker pretty much right off the bat. I don't think there's any reason. I don't know, I got that. I don't think there's any reason for me to not grab it immediately. I mean, I'm definitely gonna at least do, you know, all of the required bosses and all the, like, technically optional ones like Centipede Demon or whatever, and DLC with Mailbreaker. Whether or not I do, like, Capra or Gaping, I don't need to go up anymore. I'm forgetting what I'm doing. Whether or not I do, like, Capra or Gaping is to be seen, but I don't think I will, because they're not particularly difficult bosses to me anymore. To compliment RTSR, you're so right. Hold on. Not Havels. That's boring. Get out of here. I don't know why I grabbed Havels. That's useless. There's not actually a ton of grinding. I mean, it is, you know, quite a bit compared to your average playthrough. But it's not like I'm going to be upgrading every single weapon or whatever. Caping was just tedious. Did you grab Gold Pine Resin? I feel like if you use Gold Pine Resin, it wouldn't be that bad. I don't know. I'm going to do depth skip at the beginning of the run. Maybe I could get a +5 before then. Or a white ring for the United States. Yeah, it's kind of tragic that we don't. Nice for dex builds. I feel like Thief would be better for dex builds, right? Because it has higher dex on top of being able to kill the Asylum Demon much easier, and also getting a ton of levels from Gray right off the bat. I don't know. I guess if we're not routing, you know, that efficiently, then it doesn't make a huge difference, but personally, when I'm doing dex builds, I like using Thief so I can obliterate Stray Demon right off the bat. Ah, yeah, that'll happen. Dying to Gaping after using your Pine Resin is a tragic fate. Enemy? Why am I killing this guy? Why am I doing half the things I do? Guess we'll never know. The shield is unironically good. Hello, Naropev. Welcome. You're not that late. Barely a half an hour. Congratulations, Alyssa. You came up with a joke. It feels like RTSR and BTSR should have synergy, and they just don't. I'm gonna wait to use soul items. I do... Actually, yeah, I'm gonna buy the Titanite shards that I need right now. I'm not gonna be able to buy... I think I can only buy 8, which is how many I need, to be fair. 7. And get the one from the guy after I do Sunskip. I don't know, I don't usually use shields for parrying. I'm very, very used to bare-handed parry and medium shield parry timing. So I don't think the small shield is going to be useful for parrying at all. And obviously, because it's a small shield, it's not exactly good for blocking either. I feel like if you're not super used to parrying, then the small shield can be really good, but for me personally, I feel like that's kind of the trouble, because again, I do want to, like, once I'm done with every single weapon in the game, and once I've done all the starting classes, perfect, I think it'd be really fun to, like, make tier lists of those things. Oh, god damn it, go the other way! I think it'd be fun to make tier lists, but the problem with that is it's so incredibly subjective, and especially for me, like, the way I play the game is dramatically different from most people. I feel like what I consider to be the best starting class is going to be very different from how, well, actually, that's not true. I feel like the Pyromancer is just objectively the best starting class. But, like, for weapon types, I don't know. Curved swords are probably a little bit harder to use than some other weapon types, but are one of the best weapon types. Or, like, halberds are, in my opinion, just the best weapon type, but they do have the stagger on miss, which can be difficult to use and everything. But even despite that, I think they're the best by quite a wide margin. But I don't know how common of an opinion that is, you know? But I do think that'll be fun to talk about. And like, obviously my boss tier lists are divisive at best. I wonder what the most disliked video on my channel is. I should look at that. I think that would be fun. Actually, it's probably Unremarkable in Odd Places. Not because it has a ton of dislikes relative, but because it has the most views on my channel by far. So it probably, by extension, happens to have the most likes and dislikes. Either that or the highest DPS run. Speaking of, I haven't done a Darkbead video, and I don't think I will, but people commented about Darkbead on the DPS run, and I feel like that's kind of missing the point of the DPS build. You know, I don't think Darkbead applies for the same reason that Ricard's Rapier doesn't apply. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a long giant fight. Is this even worth it? I don't think it is. I think I'll come back. Darkbead is no fun. I don't know. I think it can be fun to shred things. But because you only get... Is it 3 casts with 10 crystallization? Or is it 3 casts without 10 crystallization? I don't know. You could land there. Either way, I don't think... I don't know. I think it's fun to use, but it's also more supplemental than something you're gonna base a build on. Well, I don't know. I guess that's kind of what Manus Catalyst is for. I don't know. I just don't really count it as DPS is the thing, right? It's damage, for sure, but it's a one-time damage. It's not like you're gonna get insane DPS off of it because you can only cast it 3 times. I might do Sunskip again. Get chunks. Do I want it? I don't really want to, is the problem. I think at this point, I would rather just have a plus 13 for the early game and just come back through later. I don't know why that makes the boulder drop sound when the boulders haven't dropped yet. Probably just an issue where it plays on startup. Six without 10 crystallization. Okay, yeah. So Manus Catalyst is probably just better for Darkbead than 10 crystallization. But yeah, that's still only 6 casts, you know? I'm so excited to, like, actually have levels in on my weapon. Instead of doing approximately 2 damage a hit. Black Flame? Is Black Flame even that good? I mean, I guess I'll use it for my Pyromancer run. For the for the Spellcaster starting classes, I don't think I'm gonna try to get every single spell of each type. I don't think that would be... My brace is falling off. I don't think that'd be super interesting to try to do. But I'll get... Oops. I'll get a lot of them. I only need Only need one. That's 4,000. That's oops, I think. Maybe? That's just short. Bad. I think I need to use this. I don't know what the scaling is like on Menace Catalyst. Like, I don't know what the buff is for Dark Sorceries.
Go along, try and make some.
I'm gonna get the cage key for later. Why would I do a Pyromancer run and not use combustion? Who do you think I am? Arbitrary restrictions that serve to do nothing but slow down the run are boring. I probably won't. Well, actually, I think the draw of Pyromancer is that you don't need to level damage stats, right? But I do kind of want to level strength for the hand axe. Yeah, so for instance, like for Pyromancer, or actually that's probably not a good example because there's only one Pyromancy Blame, but for Sorcerer, I can only use the starting Catalyst, but I'm going to allow myself to pick up whatever Sorcerer I want, right? So I'll still be able to use Crystal Soul Spear. Oh, Crystal Soul Spear, that's so annoying to get. Why am I here? I didn't rest at Andre? This is tragic. Oh my goodness. I don't know. The problem is if I don't use the starting catalysts, it kind of goes against the spirit of the run, but it doesn't really give a good view on what the starting class is, you know? Because like if I only use the melee weapon, then my damage is going to be solely melee and it's not really going to reflect the starting class. But I want to use the point of the starting class, which is the spells and whatever, right? But I can't really I don't know. We'll see. Time lost? No, this is time gained. I'm going to be streaming longer. For me, I don't think it's worth killing the Baron Knight for a single shard when I could just buy one. Oh no, losing 800 souls. This is tragic. I usually kill the Baron Knight because it feels bad to buy an extra shard when I don't need to, but oh well. There we go.
Magnificent.
Magnificent. Need two more. I don't know why my brain said to go to raw. Actually, speaking of, I said I was thinking about speedrunning this game a little bit earlier. Not like full proper speedruns, but what got me in that mindset was the speedrun that I did to one-shot the Asylum Demon. Oops. I think that was a really, really fun run. And I think it'd be cool to do more stuff like that. So the Kill Petrus run was funny. For capitalism, yippee. I'm missing a chunk. Why? Oh, it's the Black Knight and the Parish. Okay. Well, no, I don't want to like limit things arbitrarily. I just want to show off the class. It's not like I want it to be a challenge run. None of these are challenge runs. That's not the point, you know. I don't think making it a challenge run for no reason is interesting at all. Giant dad percent. But then you just, it's so boring. Because you just start as Pyromancer, grab the Zwei, and go to Anor Londo. I don't know. The thing about kill Petrus percent is you kill Petrus. And that's the funny part. The giant dad is a very overblown joke, you know? Or like one-shotting the asylum demon, the straight sword hilt, using objectively the weakest weapon in the game to one-shot a boss is objectively hilarious. Thank you, Dan. That means a lot. Petrus had it coming. True, I agree. That's why we did that run. I should do more stuff with Aurora. She's funny. Well, it's not that I don't want them to end up in the pure caster archetype. It's I want to represent that while sticking to the theme of the run. You don't have to level up catalysts in this game, do you? I forgot about that, except the Pyromancy Flame, obviously. Okay, yeah, straight demon time. And then I'll do Quelaag. Oh my god, actual damage. It's so good. Pretty sure these guys are weak to slash too, which is funny. That's so true. I should be killing Petrus more often. I don't know why I don't. It's not like I use Wrath of the Gods ever. I should. Wrath of the Gods is a really fun spell. Slash damage. My beloved. I wish slash damage was more balanced. I should redo a little bit of Goddess of the Sun edition to make slash damage like actually useful beyond straight even. What else is even weak to slash damage? Probably hollows. I feel like Seath should be, because I made him weak to bleed. I don't know. Something to think about for me. Very, very little is weak to slash damage. The Hydra might be, actually, thinking about it. I don't think it's worth using that bone. Well, no, I get a bunch of bones to the run. There's no reason not to. And I did actually rest here this time, so. And I have 40 dexterity for the gargoyles, as one should. Petrus is the guy who introduces you to the Way of White. He's the guy that lets you join the Way of White Covenant. But also hates the Way of White. Oh no, the doll. God damn it. This is tragic. The Xanthus set had so much potential. In Dark Souls 2, it's so nice, but in this game, because there's no cloth physics, it looks so bad. Because YouTube also hates Petrus. They just aren't allowed to endorse killing any specific person. But there's nothing in Painted World. You just this is Petrus. You just sprint straight to the ends and then kill Priscilla, and that's the whole thing. Kill Ingrid %. Why do you dislike Ingrid? He's just a guy. It is cool when you explore it, but there's nothing for me to explore. There's no reason for me to explore it in any run most of the time. What the fuck? I appreciate putting the H before the W. I'm almost positive that was a mistake, but it's funnier to think that it's not. Painted World is one of my favorite levels. It's one of the coolest levels in the game. Forgetting the doll is a classic. See, the implication there is that I unintentionally forgot the doll. Who did that? Who was the first one to do that? Because I know it was a fairly popular challenge runner back in the day. And it was like a whip run, I think, that he forgot it in. Like, oh, look at this challenge run. Old challenge runs are so funny to me. using an extremely normal weapon. Can I beat Dark Souls with this extremely normal and very average weapon? It's like, yeah, sure. Like, well, I do no damage at the start of the run, and then you level up your dexterity by 2 points, and then suddenly you're dealing more damage than most weapons at that point. Such a challenge run. Like, bows. Can I beat the game with the most overpowered weapon? Sure. Have fun. Controller runs aren't that interesting to me either. Because, like, you have to rewire your brain a bit. But after that, it's just you're playing Dark Souls, but you look like you're playing worse than normal. Yeah, can you beat Dark Souls 1 is such a... I hate that people use that. Like, there are situations in which I think it's fine to do. Like, I don't know. Can you beat Dark Souls while beating all the bosses in reverse order? Like, see, that's interesting because you don't know if that's actually possible or not. I mean, I don't think it was, but like alphabetical order, for instance, or can you beat Dark Souls with Poop Walk? I think is also a fine title because Poop Walk obviously isn't an intended mechanic, as opposed to, you know, can I beat Dark Souls with an extremely normal weapon or whatever? Is she shaking her ass? No, she is exploding. Sad day. Yeah, Splee has had a couple of videos pop off. Yeah, can't, like, oh my god. Can you beat Dark Souls while leveling only one stat is like the pinnacle of awful video titles for me. Like, oh my god. Yes, obviously you can beat Dark Souls while only leveling dexterity. It's just going to be a soul level 1 run, but you have a lot more damage. And they don't even do anything interesting with them, you know? It's like... I've never seen a one stat playthrough where people actually did interesting things. It's like, can I beat Dark Souls while leveling only dexterity? And then they use the Falchion or a katana or whatever. It's like, yes, yeah, yes, obviously, you can. I mean, you do have Rari in your username, so I kind of figured. Yeah, new game plus runs are things that I've kind of started experimenting with, like the hammers video. I want to do a similar thing that I did with the blacksmith hammers with the Black Knight weapons, and also the Artorias greatswords. Like using the the normal Artorias greatsword, and then the cursed Artorias greatsword, and then the Abyss greatsword for New Game Plus Plus. Like, I think that would be a fairly interesting one. But I don't know. That's the specific reason that I call my videos, or that I may name my videos like, how hard is Dark Souls with this, or how good is this in Dark Souls? Yeah, I like all your furry drawings. And you're definitely improving a lot. I don't know. The thing is, I try to make things that are genuinely interesting instead of needing to resort to clickbait. Because, like, I don't know. Again, can you beat Dark Souls by only leveling strength? It's like, I mean, yeah, but that's not an interesting concept. So you need to make it clickbaity. You need to put a super buff Dark Souls character on the front screen and make him green and have a weird face and have bright text. Meanwhile, you know, Unremarkable in Odd Places and Dark Souls is intentionally not clickbaity, both because I was emulating Austin's style, because I think he also intentionally avoids clickbaits and makes genuinely interesting video concepts. But it's just like something that nobody talks about, but I think most people understand is very common in Dark Souls. Like, Dark Souls has a very weird atmosphere, and I think people understand that that's because of a lot of the environment. So that's an intentionally not clickbaity video that is just an interesting concept, and that is by far the most viewed video on my channel. Or like the highest possible DPS in Dark Souls. That one is a little bit more clickbaity, but it's also just an interesting thing, right? Like, what weapon is objectively the best for damage in Dark Souls is a lot more interesting of a question than can you beat Dark Souls with this random weapon. Austin is a top tier YouTuber, I would agree. Now what? Gargoyles, that's what. It's almost at 250,000 views, which is an absurd number. I want to make a follow-up to that video, not because I want, like, to, you know, ride that high or whatever, because at this point it's probably a little late for that, but because there are so many places that I still want to talk about, and I want more before I make another video, because I only have, like, less than half, or no, about half of what I did in that first video, but because I already covered so many in that first video, it's kind of hard to find more. I don't know, I will make a follow-up to it. Oh yeah, I did do a video with JK Leeds. That was a very fun video to make. The intro. That intro was one of my favorite things I've ever edited. That was really fun. Like the knocking on the door and like a... What the... Who could that be? Dark Souls with literally nothing was my second ever Dark Souls video. That's crazy. Dark Souls with nothing, question mark, was my first video that got even like a decent number of views, and I'm so happy it did, just because I love Dark Souls and I always have. Dark Souls means a lot to me for a lot of different reasons, and being able to indulge with that, you know, in that with viewers that's a lot of damage. But yeah, being able to engage in that with people who also like to engage with that kind of thing is immensely satisfying to me. There we go. I don't know. I love Dark Souls for a lot of reasons. Dark Souls has had a bigger effect on my life than anything else, I think. Curved swords in a nutshell, yeah. Oh, which axe? I haven't used most of the axes. Is that true? I haven't used battle axe, haven't used hand axe, haven't used... I don't remember. There aren't many normal axes in this game. Dark Souls is a very cool game. And like, that's part of the reason that I'm excited to start doing Dark Souls 2 instead. Not instead, but, you know, more often than Dark Souls 1. Because Dark Souls 2 hasn't had that chance to have as great of an effect on me. Like, it has, absolutely, in the way that Dark Souls 1 did before I started streaming it. But after, you know, making videos on it. But after making videos on Dark Souls 1, like, the way that I thought about the game, that's foreboding. The way that I thought about the game and engaged with it changed fundamentally, right? I do think that's going to be the case with Dark Souls 2. I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be fun. Level up, I think endurance is going to be more useful than vitality, but... Oh, the Firekeeper's dead. Nah, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, Dark Souls 1 and 2 have changed my life in ways I never imagined a video game could. Like, you know, me probably more than most people, just because this is how I live now, right? I play this game twice a week, minimum. And, you know, most people don't do that. But I engage with the community more frequently than most people or whatever. I don't know. Dark Souls kind of changed my outlook on life regardless of if I ended up making videos on it. Oh no, Ledric. Yeah, it is a very atmospheric game. And the atmosphere isn't really something that I indulge in frequently, which again is another reason that I want to make a follow-up to Unremarkable in Odd Places. Which I also want to do in Dark Souls 2 and 3. I think it's going to be a lot easier to do in Dark Souls 3, to be honest. I think it'd be really cool to do like a to do a Dark Souls 3 Unremarkable in Odd Places video that's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, at most. And then to go into Dark Souls 2 and have it be like a 5-hour video. I think that'd be super fun. I love Dark Souls 3, and I'm definitely gonna make like more videos on it, but it is my least favorite of the trilogy, and I want to finish streaming Dark Souls 2 before I stream Dark Souls 3 frequently. I do want to stream the Dark Souls 3 pickaxe playthrough, just I did that with Demon Souls. I'm also gonna do that with Dark Souls 2, hopefully. Dark Souls 3 is definitely one that I'm less interested in making content on for a lot of reasons. But I definitely still will, for sure. The thing about that, Kaya, is that I don't think he knew. he was sealing New Londo, right? I don't think he understood the atrocity that was being committed, right? Ramp to brainwashes, or attempts to brainwash and trick the player into linking the flame, which would make all humans suffer. But I don't think that makes players or undead who link the flame into bad people. It's just they don't understand, right? I think the same is true of Ingrid, where he didn't understand what was really going on with New Londo, as far as I understand. At least not entirely. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 is the least replayable by far, for sure. Which is why most people who do challenge runs on Dark Souls 3 have to cheat in weapons at the beginning instead of collecting them as they go. I like Dark Souls 2 because it has the most replayability in a lot of ways, right? It has the most routes through the early game. It has the biggest build variety by far. Stuff like power stancing. It has so many different viable builds. So, hello, Matthias. Welcome. Very, very quick stagger. Hopefully this knocks them off. I don't think it will. Oh, never mind. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 has the worst build variety by far. I don't know. When I first started playing Dark Souls 3, it was the first one that I replayed a bunch. I think it was my most played Souls game. Okay, so what happened was, I played Dark Souls 2 Scholar, I played Dark Souls 3, and then I played Dark Souls 1. But I beat Dark Souls 1 first, then I beat Scholar, then I beat Dark Souls 3. But for a while, Dark Souls 3 was my most played. I think I hit 100 hours and 200 hours in it first, because I did, a normal playthrough. And then I did up to New Game Plus 6, just all boss runs in every New Game cycle up to New Game Plus 6. I did a few more, just like normal weapon runs and whatever. And then I just started playing Dark Souls 1, and then I kept playing Dark Souls 1, and then I kept playing Dark Souls 1. And I never felt any need to go back to Dark Souls 3, because Dark Souls 3 is very... I don't know, there's not much interesting to do after you hit New Game Plus 6. And using certain weapons is just like not interesting in Dark Souls 3, in my opinion. Dark Souls 2 puzzling stone sword. I don't know. That's fun. I mean, the puzzling stone sword is underwhelming, but because it's Dark Souls 2, you can make it really, really good. Can you infuse it? I don't think so, right? I'll do that eventually. I just don't think it's an interesting enough weapon on its own to... I don't know. We'll see. Dark Souls 2 is, in my opinion, by far the best game of the trilogy. I prefer Dark Souls 1, oh my god. For a lot of reasons. Primarily autism. But nostalgia. But I do think Dark Souls 2 is a better game in most ways. Like, I prefer the level design of Dark Souls 2. I prefer the build variety of Dark Souls 2. I prefer the environments and vibe of Dark Souls 2. Yeah, and then you have stuff like branches and Ferris lockstones that lock off progression in interesting and varied ways. That changes every playthrough. I don't know. I like Dark Souls 2 a lot. I am shocked that guy survived. I really expected him to fall off the edge. He was like right there. Ooh, everything's fine. I need to pick up that chunk. Yeah, the Emerald Herald is my favorite character, or my favorite Firekeeper, I think. Is that true? I really like Anastasia, just because... I'm not actually sure. I don't know. I really like Anastasia. I think Anastasia is my favorite Firekeeper, followed very closely by the Emerald Herald. Really doesn't want you to get to the painting? Yeah. Well, good for him, I guess. Yeah, the thing that I'm most worried about with Dark Souls 2 is how long the playthroughs are going to take me. Because streaming for more than 4 hours is insanely tiring for me. So that's why I'm planning on doing 2 streams a week instead of only 1. Specifically for Dark Souls 2. That's why I started doing these starter class runs on Tuesdays, so I can get used to streaming twice a week. And I think I will be able to finish Dark Souls 2 once a week, but it's going to be a big shift and something I have to really get used to. Hopefully, eventually I get fast enough at the game that I'll be able to do, you know, a DLC or whatever every run. We'll see. But it is a very, very long game compared to the other two. The best spell system, I would agree, by far. Its magic system is by far the most viable. On top of spell sorting being just way, way more viable as well, because you get so many more levels and stuff. And the weapon buffs just being so much more usable in so many more scenarios. Yeah, I was counting, like, the doll or the Maiden in Black or whatever. Or the, what's her name? Melina? The Accord Haver. The Honda driver. But Anastasia is still probably my favorite. Once again, probably because bias that I don't understand. My brace. I really need to get compression gloves. Jesus. You hate blue juice? I also hate blue juice. Whoa, that's crazy. I never thought I'd meet anyone who hates blue juice. I think blue juice is a fine idea and concept, but I don't think it works as well for Dark Souls, because it just leads to only using your best spell instead of rationing your spells in a more interesting way. Huh. Curve swords are pretty good, huh? I think I'm doing the Falchion either next month or the month after. I don't remember if it's on this poll or not. Yeah, I think I'm using the Falchion soon. So I'm interested to see how that holds up in a full playthrough, because I've never done a full playthrough with only the Falchion. Because I almost always switch to the Painting Guardian Sword if I'm doing a Curve Sword playthrough. Yeah, Solar Pellet Stream Bingo. Has anyone actually made a board of that? I think would be fun. Bring back spice from Demon Souls. Yeah. The Night Rain Shrine Maiden? Duchess? Or do you mean, the menial? I think the menial counts as a Shrine Maiden. Yeah, hopefully this isn't too hard. Well, the bingo already exists. You just need to randomize it. Right. Quit jumping all over the place. You freak. Sorry. My inner Game Grumps fan took over. I haven't watched Game Grumps in a bit. Rival Am in your hatred. I haven't read I Have No Mouth in so long. That's such a good story. Ooh, ouch. Admittedly, it made me feel awful for the rest of the day, but that's the best part. Manu, thank you so much. That means a lot. Funny indeed. Jesus. What does that even mean? Julian? And Ding Dong? We're talking about Super Mega? Because I don't watch Super Mega nearly enough. I know there was something with Super Mega, but as far as I know, they very much moved past that. Oni. I don't know anything about Oni Plays. You know, I think that's a really funny dichotomy. You saying that you're not late, despite being an hour in, and somebody coming in like 20 minutes into the stream and saying they're incredibly late and missed most of the stream. Finished Wanderer class Sunday night. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Wanderer is easier rather than a lot of other classes because of TPS, but obviously it doesn't even rival like Pyromancer. I heard something. I knew there was something going that went on with Super Mega, but I have no idea what it actually was. Well, no, you didn't say you missed most of the stream, but some people do as a bit. Scimitar, hand axe? Hand axe, for sure. And it's like not even close. I don't know. I feel like Game Grumps is one of the few like content creator groups that like genuinely has grown a lot since they started. Like if JonTron never left the show, then I would not be watching. I would not care less about Game Grumps because JonTron is obviously an awful person. I don't think that's very controversial to say anymore. Him being, we'll say not very woke. But you know, obviously they moved past JonTron, Aaron moved past JonTron and made a lot out of Game Grumps that wouldn't have happened otherwise, and I think that's admirable. I know it was one of the few times that people just understood someone as such a good person that a controversy wasn't even worth trying to milk. Because I know that Danny got accused of things that I shall not say on stream, and it was just like one person who said it, and like it got a little bit of traction, but then just stopped. So, I don't know. I love Danny. And I love Aaron. Aaron supports trans rights, and well, they both do, obviously. But Aaron is very vocal about trans rights, and that's super awesome. Yeah, Thief starting with Master Key. It's fun and thematic, but also insanely powerful compared to Wanderer getting Scimitar. When you can just pick up the Falchion immediately. I don't think that's something you can pin on the Game Grumps at all. That was, I don't even remember what the dating sim was called. Something daddy. Dream Daddy? I don't remember. But I really don't think that's something you can pin on the Game Grumps themselves. Oh my god, Wanderer is so much better of a name than Wanderer. I'm so sad. You're so much smarter than I am. Yeah, Egoraptor used to be Egoraptor, and now he's Aaron Hansen. And honestly, that's growth right there. That's definitely going to be 7 heads. This is sad. Yeah, I don't know. I think Game Grumps being as cool people as they are, despite their size, in terms of like popularity, is really impressive. My content is far too niche to get anywhere near the same amount of recognition, but I hope that if I ever get a decent chunk of subscribers, I mean, not that I don't already, but you know what I mean? Hopefully I stay a good person. I will do my absolute damnedest. Not that I expect that to happen, but you know. A girl can dream. Alright. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. I remember I used to love JonTron's videos, especially before I knew about him and what he did and how awful of a person he was. And then I started and then I learned about it. And right after I learned about it, he released a video. I don't even remember what it was. And I was like, oh man, another JonTron video, but he's such a bad person. I can't support this. And I ended up watching it for whatever reason. I don't even remember why. And it was so underwhelming. Just like not funny of a video. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I don't care about this person anymore. Wow, that was a fight. I think curve swords are just too good for the second worst curve sword to like actually be bad. I don't know. I feel like it's very fair to say that the Jagged Ghostblade is the worst curve sword, but because it has so much utility early game, it's kind of hard to say that it's that bad. I don't know. I don't think it's fair to expect a content creator to address what their fans are doing completely independently from anything they did, right? Like, they made a game that got criticized, and the fans of that game then attacked the person who criticized it in a probably slightly homophobic way. My time can be no one else. Right. Yeah, the Grumps do not bleep much. That's not true, actually. They used to. Every time they accidentally cussed in the first minute of a video, they would bleep it, and they always made bits out of it. Funny. It's the way I fly to you. I'm still... JonTron Tree, the 8-bomber guy freaks out. I do not remember that at all, to be honest. I think it's absurd to hate a content creator for specifically not addressing something that they had nothing to do with that happens to be related to something that they made. Especially when there are homophobic undertones to the thing that got attacked in the first place. The Backstreet Boys reunion tour, yeah, that was a time. I still go back and watch the Wind Waker series every so often. That's like an annual watch for me at this point. Such a good series. I don't know. I haven't watched any of the JonTron videos with Game Grumps. That's not true. I started watching the Sonic 06 series because I love Sonic 06, obviously. I was like, oh, the Game Grumps did this a long time ago. And this was before I learned that JonTron was a piece of shit. And I watched the video. Or I watched a couple parts of it. I was like, wow, John is so not funny in this format. I'm never watching one of these again. And I never thought about it. And I'm just happy that they moved past it. I don't know. I feel like curved swords are kind of underwhelming in Dark Souls 2. The warp sword isn't even that good. Oh my god, RTSR range. Perfect setup. The warp sword is pretty bad in Dark Souls 2, for as much as people praise it or whatever. It just doesn't do much damage. It has a awful moveset. It technically does decent stance damage, but if you actually care about stance damage on a fast weapon, you'd be using a hammer. Very, very underwhelming weapon at best. Okay. Four Kings. Oh, right. I forgot she's dead. Oops. Puzzling stone sword copium huffing right now. That's valid. I don't know, the puzzling stone sword isn't bad, it's just not good. Yeah, but PvP is boring. I don't take PvP performance into account when I'm ranking a weapon. Better than 70. Oh. Every single normal Titanite weapon in Dark Souls 2 feels so much better than the Warp Sword to me. Yeah, I think Dark Souls 2 PvP is the best PvP in the series, but I don't know. I just don't really care about PvP in general, so it doesn't make a huge difference for me. Terrible, but an awesome moveset? Interesting. I hate the moveset a lot. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to replace one of my rings with the Covenant of Artorias. Damn, I should replace the bad ring, actually. I was gonna do that for a bit, but I do really actually want to use the Red Tear Stone ring here. Gilligan's curved sword? He has a curved sword? I didn't know that. I'm poise tanking with no poise. This is how you fight the Four Kings right here. This is peak Four Kings gameplay. Uh-oh. This is not Four Kings peak gameplay. No, it's perfect. Nothing to worry about. Okay. Quest reward and drop, huh? I'll have to look into that. Don't magic, don't magic, don't magic. God damn it. I was told that that would work. Okay, RTSR. There we go. Now I actually have to be careful. That is stupid damage. Alright. 3 kings at... That's not bad at all. 2.5 kings. Oh, the Melu Scimitar. The worst curved sword? I've heard very different things. I've heard good things about the Melu Scimitar, actually. I don't know, maybe it's just people coping because it's cool. Why did I drink? That was a bad choice. Oh. I wasn't paying enough attention. Everything's fine. In my experience, I would 1000% call the Warp Sword the worst curve sword. I do not like the Warp Sword. There we go. Yeah, Gilligan is kind of a freak and probably doesn't deserve his quest line to be finished. I don't think I've ever done his quest line. Do I want more than 20 endurance? Probably not. Okay. Time for Battle Chaos. No. Time for Orlando. I'm gonna, I guess, get the Daughters of Chaos bonfire. That's what it's called. Well, there was another one. I think it's 4, right? There are 4 targets. I don't remember what the 4th one was, though. Yeah, Falcon, the Sunset Staff. Which you just need 15 of each of Intelligence and Faith to get, which is insanely easy. And you should probably have anyway, if you want to deal any damage in the late game. I need to do a Chaos Blade run in Dark Souls 2. I think that'd be fun. I'm pretty sure Aurora did a minimum stats Chaos Blade. I don't remember. I did a Hiltless playthrough in Demon Souls, and I have no idea how to format that video. It's like a 3-hour playthrough. And it was extremely easy. 160 counter? That's the same as the Keyblade. 3 months, no Dark Souls 2. This is tragic. You need to play more Dark Souls 2. It's never too late to start. Never too early to start either. Rapier has 150 counter, I think? I don't remember. I don't know, Demon Souls has pretty short levels though. Especially if you use skips, but like even if you don't, the longest level is 5-1? 4-1, I mean. Maybe 5-2, but 5-2 has a shortcut, so whatever. 4-1. 4-1 isn't even that long. Oh, sorry, 4-2. 4-2 is the longest and doesn't really have any skips. That's not true. It does have one skip that's very easy to pull off. But even if you don't, it's... I don't know. It's like a 10-minute run if you're careful. And it's not like Old Hero is the hardest boss in Demon Souls by any means. Yeah, 4-2 is kind of a pain in the ass, I agree. 4-2 is probably my least favorite level in Demon Souls. I don't know if that's true. It might be true. I like 3-2, but going through it is frustrating. 1-3 is also rough. No, 1-4. 1-4 is also rough. I think 1-4 is the hardest level for me, just because the dragon is annoying to run past. Not that one. This one. Two-shotting bosses with Chaos Blade? Yeah, that checks out. I think that'd be a fun run to do. I have the Fire Straight Sword. Fire Longsword. Fire Longsword run, like, done. I just need to finish editing the video, and it's... Oh my god. Editing Dark Souls 2 videos is gonna be what kills me from doing Dark Souls 2, because, oh my god, it's so much footage to go through. And, like, it was a fairly short run. It was like a 10-hour run, which is less than a lot of Dark Souls 2 all bosses runs for me. Presents on the scimitar? I will for Seath, and that's it. Dark Souls 1 Fire Longsword? Okay, so the thing about the Dark Souls 1 Fire Longsword run is that I wanted to do it in Goddess of the Sun edition instead of vanilla, because I don't think it would be very interesting in vanilla. But if I do it in Goddess of the Sun edition, I feel like it would kind of discredit doing the Fire Longsword in all 3 games idea. I don't know. I already did a run with a lightning spear from the Mimic and Sens. I just made it not lightning anymore. Because I like, you know, having a little bit of damage. The mod I made is on Nexus. There's a link to it in the description of this stream, actually. Ooh. Yeah, but also, if you're watching the VOD and for some reason it's not in the... Or I don't know. If you don't see it in the description or whatever, or it's not working for whatever reason, you can also just go on Nexus and search up Goddess of the Sun edition, and it should pop up. I mean, yeah, if I were to die, it would be specifically when I don't pick up a bonfire that would otherwise be fairly easy to get, but it's fine. The only reason I don't is because you need to kill one of the boars to get that bonfire, and that's just kind of frustrating. Grab this for the special animation. I should use the Hornet Ring for this specific enemy more often, because the special animations are fun. And while Seath kills me, I'm going to go to the restroom. So... Alright. Most of them are pretty similar. Oh, it's a challenge run, actually. It's legit because it's a challenge run. The mod that I have installed unintentionally only makes the game harder. Therefore, it is legit. Okay. Hello, Pazaka. Okay, I will be right back. Okay. Oh no, I'm cursed. This is tragic. Burma power within. That would just make the game easy. Also, you could just offset that extremely easily by getting the... I think this. Because power within is percentage based. So having low vitality doesn't matter. I do like your playlist. It's very infuriating. From a symbol. Symbol is not. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness. Wait, hold on. I want to get rid of the other one first. Okay. I think one run that I do want to do is everywhere is a poison swamp, because I figured out how to mod terrain types, and I started doing that, and it's so tedious. But I don't want to use the rusted ironing because, I don't know, I feel like that kind of ruins the point of the run. There we go. It would also, I don't know, I'd still be like permanently poisoned or whatever. But it also just kind of makes it a less interesting version of a run that somebody else has already done, the permatoxic run. No, I made sure I killed the third, or I backstabbed the third one. Or got grabbed by the third one. I was paying attention. They swapped places because the one jumped behind the other one. Yeah, but it's only one ring slot, and like, what else am I gonna use the ring slot for anyway? Whoa. Oh my god! Double Pasaka grab. RTSR setup. Oh no. Okay. I don't know. It's not like beating Dark Souls 1 with only one ring slot while poisoned is that difficult, but slow moving the entire run just sounds awful. It's an open relationship, Narapiv. Color pellet spells. No comment. The hand axe is also a crazy starting weapon. Yeah, the hand axe is arguably one of the best weapons, or arguably the best weapon in the game. I would say it's definitely up there. I would put the Painting Guardian Curved Sword above it, but the hand axe is also just a lot easier to get and use, especially early game. Coming into the abyss, obviously, true. And I gotta put on the important rings for this run. Hand axe and scimitar are definitely the best starting weapons by quite a wide margin, but I also really like the broadsword. The longsword was also surprisingly good. We'll see how... Oh, the mace is also really, really good. We'll see how the dagger fares. I'm a little bit worried about that. I've used the bandit's knife before, but I also did buff it, I believe. I'm gonna have to do another run with that where I don't buff it, which I'm a little bit scared of, but we'll see. Hopefully I don't end up using the dagger primarily on the sorcerer run. But we'll see how good our sorcery damage is with nothing but the starting catalyst. Usually when I use sorceries, I just go with 10 crystallization catalyst because the have casts just don't matter when you deal that much damage. So maybe having the extra sorceries will feel better. That did indeed happen, Alyssa. I am gonna actually use the bow when I get to Hunter for sure. Dark Souls 1 daggers are miserable in your experience? I heavily disagree. Like, they're not the best weapon class by any means, but they're definitely not, like, miserable by any means. Like, Priscilla's dagger is a very solid weapon. Bandit's knife was very fun with buffs. Without buffs, it's gonna be a little bit more rough, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Hunter will probably be primarily short sword, but I'm gonna make sure to grab RTSR to make sure that I can actually use the bow to good effect. I think the dagger itself is underwhelming, but like the bandit's knife is pretty good. But, you know, hopefully the dagger ends up being supplemental to that run. I'm actually really excited for the club run. I think the club is going to be one of my favorite weapons to use. Probably going to end up using or enjoying the club run more than the reinforced club. I forgot about Zero Lenny. I used to watch him a bunch. I haven't watched him in so long though. Composite Bow RTSR is like insanely overpowered if you can use it. But being in RTSR range is rough for a first playthrough. They're definitely not beginner's guide, but it is an insanely powerful build if you use it correctly. Oops. Finger slipped. Yeah, true. That's probably why I stopped watching him, because I found his opinions grating. Hello, Mr. Toxic Wasteland. Welcome. I'm gonna throw on gold pine resin here. Hopefully should shred through Seath. The strongest starting class in all of the front games? Almost definitely Pyromancer Dark Souls 1. If not Pyromancer Dark Souls 1, then Wanderer Dark Souls 3. I think it's Wanderer. The one who starts with the Sellsword set. Temple Knight? I don't like Temple Knight. Like, it's good, but I wouldn't even say it's the best class in that game. Not by a long shot. Best class in Demon's Souls is either the one that starts with a Battle Axe or... what was the other one? I don't even remember. Magician. Probably Magician. Mercenary in Dark Souls 3, yeah. Royalty in Demon's Souls is so overrated. The only reason that Royalty is considered better than Magician is because Royalty starts with the Fragrant Ring, which you can get right after 1-1 anyway, and you probably aren't going to be running out of mana in 1-1. Like, worst case scenario, you pick up the Mailbreaker and have no issue with 1-1 at all. So... I just have Seath, Bed of Chaos, Nito, and then the DLC. Yeah, Magician is insanely powerful. Mana isn't usually an issue, and if, like, again, if mana is really an issue for you, you can get the Fragrant Ring pretty early from 3-1. 3-1? Either 3-1 or 3-2. Isn't the Tower Shield in 1-3? So you have to beat one of the lords or whatever they're called in that game. Yeah, Spice isn't hard to come by either, especially if you do Patch's quest. That's pretty chunky. Not incredible, but not bad at all. And Seath is being nice, so... that's unfortunate. Okay, not too bad. I'm excited for the cleric run because I'm 100% doing a Nitrous build. I think that'll be fun. I don't remember how you get Tower Shield then, to be honest. It's been a while since I've played Demon's Souls. Daughter of Chaos. Could probably level up as well. What about Vitality? I don't know, maybe I should just be leveling Endurance. 4 swings isn't that much. And Vitality isn't that incredibly useful when I'm doing this much damage. Oops, I know how to menu, I swear. I don't think Fire Sage is going to take more than a few seconds, considering it's weak to slash. Obligatory Wrath of the Gods moment? All the old bosses have one. Elaborate? I don't think I get what you mean. Unless you mean it's like a boss is using a get off me move. Cyberpunk? I have not played Cyberpunk, and it is a game that I am expressly and aggressively uninterested in. Only because it is very much not my style of game. Also, does this have better than E? No, it does not. E strength scaling. Tragic. 16 more damage for like 14 levels in strength. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just not interested in any story-driven games at all, personally. That's not true. I'm very rarely interested in story-driven games. There you go. That was extremely gritty, but it paid off, so it's okay. Could I get more damage with another ring that isn't BTSR? I don't think so. I don't think any ring is just going to straight up boost my damage. Chloranthy might not be a bad idea, though. I like RPGs. I like ARPGs. Specifically for the action part. I like some story-driven games. I don't know. Moss is one of my favorite games of all time. I adore Moss. But... and like, it depends on the game for sure. But I would say in general, story-driven games aren't my personal preference. Or like, I don't know. I really, really loved Undertale and Deltarune. But that's just because I clicked with the story in particular. While with Cyberpunk, I really don't think I would click with the story at all. Yeah. Or like Fallout. Fallout, I'm like one of the two trans women who does not like Fallout New Vegas because the story is just aggressively uninteresting to me. None of the characters are interesting that they introduced within the first hour or two. None of the like overall world story is interesting to me. Same goes with like Skyrim. I don't know. For like Morrowind, I find the world itself interesting, so I did like Morrowind. But I wouldn't even call Zelda a story game series. Zelda is a lot more like puzzle box style. I should be leveling endurance at this point. I don't think New Vegas has an interesting story is the issue. I don't like New Vegas. It's just like, aha, capitalism bad, and that's the whole story. Like, whoa, I knew that already. That's crazy. Sometimes Hawkbridge, occasionally. Yeah, a problem with that is I don't like sandbox games either, most of the time. Like, there are exceptions. I think just engaging with Blade and Sorcery is incredibly fun. But I feel like its format is uniquely suited to me personally enjoying it. Because I love swordplay in video games, and Blade and Sorcery lets me engage in that in a way that no other game really does. Other games have tried for sure, but I think Blade and Sorcery just does it in a way that is a lot more engaging to me than, I don't know, Battle Arena VR. I need to get my VR headset out. I need to find some way to play VR games. I don't really have much space to do that right now. Yeah, half sword is flat screen, blade and sorcery. I don't know, I don't like intentionally avoid open world games, but I just happen to most of the time. Yeah, but I don't know. There's nothing about Skyrim that I found particularly engaging outside of the community, and even then. Yeah, Souls games, they're open, but in a way that railroads you. I rested a while ago. You know what? I made sure specifically, actually, to rest at the bonfire in the Duke's archives that you can warp to as soon as possible so you could be alive. Did that for you. But anyway, because a lot of like Souls game or Souls likes, right? While taking inspiration from the combat and build progression or whatever, are a lot more linear as opposed to very open, and I don't know, they're more railroady. I have over 1,000 hours in Dark Souls 1. I don't know the exact number. I think I have 100-ish hours on Switch. I have like 80 hours, I think, in Remastered. I have another 50-ish in Vanilla Prepare to Die. And then I have over 1,000 on Remastered. So I have a lot of time in Dark Souls 1. You made Bamboo? Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Good luck, Naruto. Playing duos is very fun, yeah. Playing duos with a really good player is really fun. Okay, you know what? That's fair, Pasaka. I understand. Lunacid likes, that's true. I agree. I like the thing about Lunacid is it made me want to play Kingsfield, and then I didn't like Kingsfield because I realized one of the main reasons I liked Lunacid was the movement and like freedom and exploration that it gives you. So like, you know, you see a ledge high up, and then you can get the super jump spell, or you can get the rock platform spell, or you can just spawn 600 coffins and jump on top of them. And it gets you up there all the same, and it's super fun to do all of that, as opposed to Kingsfield where it's very traditional RPG. Oh my god, no! I got fire whipped. This is tragic. Krista, you're not a bad player. I don't understand why you continue asserting that you're a bad player. You know what a bad player is like. Yeah, and you can also just level up your jumps a lot. My favorite fight in Dark Souls 1, knowing what I know now, by far, is Sanctuary Guardian. And like, it's not even close. Calamite is also very fun. Calamite's as a second place, but like Sanctuary Guardian is just so good. There's so much more like subversion to the fight, but in a way that still fits with the rhythm. Artorias is a popular pick for a favorite, but I've never really understood why, because the fight is really boring. His rhythm is the same for the entire fight. He has no switch ups other than the buff, which is just free damage. I don't know. Artorias is just really boring after 500 fights. It felt good to beat him the first couple times, and then it was just like, oh, okay, Artorias again. Which is weird, because Artorias was the hardest fight in my Ghostblade playthrough, but it wasn't even, like, that bad. Night Rain Artorias could have been so cool if his flip attack didn't hit you through iframes and you could knock him out of his buff. Honestly, if you could knock him out of his buff, I I would love Night Rain Artorias, but because you can't knock him out of his buff, and it still gives him the buff, like, if you could prevent him from getting the stupid long combo attack, and that was more of a punishment for not knocking him out, I would love the fight. But you just can't. So, it's boring. It's like, oh, he's doing the thing where it makes the fight harder for 30 seconds for no reason with nothing you can do about it. Hee. I don't know. I've had fights where I've melted Artorias in seconds, and I've also had fights where I've spent, 7 minutes on a single Artorias fight, and neither of them are particularly interesting. Well, that's the thing, right? Sanctuary Guardian is incredibly easy, but incredibly interesting, and I think that's fascinating. Sanctuary Guardian is one of the easiest bosses in the game for me at this point, just because it has no health, but it's also the most interesting boss in the game, full stop. As opposed to Artorias. That's why I also like Pinwheel quite a bit, right? Because he's easy. But he also has two, arguably three phases that you just never see. And if you go into the fight with low damage, he's genuinely one of the hardest bosses to beat in the game. And I think that's awesome. I hate the Midir fight. Midir is one of my least favorite boss fights in Dark Souls 3. Only because he just runs away for most of the fight, which prolongs it an unnecessary amount. If Midir had like half the health bar he does, I think I would enjoy that fight. Gale is also one of my least favorite fights in the series for the same reason. It's an insanely long fight that is extremely easy. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I don't love that DLC, the bosses in that DLC in general. Actually, Demon Princess is fun. Demon Princess is one of my favorite bosses in the series, I suppose. Gale is like Artorias. Artorias is also extremely easy, where he has a lot of moves, so he can be hard, but as soon as you get one of his moves down, all the rest just click and that's it. And then there's nothing interesting about the fight. If Gale had two separate health bars, that would probably genuinely help. But if he transitioned from phase 1 to phase 2, halfway through the fight instead of a third through the fight, and then okay, if phase 2 and 3 combined had the same health bar as phase 1, I would like Gale a lot more, is my point. If he had less health and it was split into two separate health bars so you could see your progress better, I think I would like Gale a lot more. But he just has too much health, and it's just too easy of a fight to be anything more than a slog for me. So it's just kind of, oh boy, Gale again. Time to spend 5 minutes spamming roll and pressing R1 occasionally. Oh my god, ow. Everything's fine. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 is very, very much not Soulsy. Just because it removes a lot of the RPG aspects. Like, your character build does not matter very much in Dark Souls 3 beyond not using Dancer Swords, right? I've been wanting to do a run with the Dancer Swords because I think it would be fun to do a Dancer cosplay run, knowing that the swords are pretty bad. But I don't know. I don't know if I could make it interesting to watch Beyond. This was hard. This boss took longer than normal. Oh, okay. Cool. I guess it would force me to learn the bosses better than I do right now, so I don't know. Mask of the Father. The pinnacle of the departure from RPG to action game? I guess. Actually, Gale? I think Gale is the pinnacle of Dark Souls 3 bosses in the same way that Manus is the pinnacle of Dark Souls 1 bosses. And what I mean by that is not in the way that they're good bosses, as much as I do think Manus can be fun, but in the way that they encapsulate the entire, like, gameplay style of the games, right? Where Manus is extremely turn-based, right? You cannot attack from neutral unless you are okay with poise tanking or getting punished or whatever. Or like, I don't know, it's a very slow-paced fight. It's very turn-based. It's very encapsulative of what Dark Souls 1 is, call and response, as opposed to Gale, who is very, very fast, very, very roll sloppy for a better term, right? Or for lack of a better term. And it just encapsulates what Dark Souls 3 is and how you're expected to play the majority of Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 2 doesn't really have that, I don't think. Because, like, thinking about the final bosses of all 3 DLCs, Alon is, like, so dramatically different from the majority of bosses in Dark Souls 2. You have Ivory King, who is more of an endurance test than anything. You have Sin, who is just like a dramatic dragon fight to end the DLC. Thronewatcher Defender or Nashandra or Aldia don't really encapsulate that at all. But I think that's just kind of because Dark Souls 2 doesn't really have a way that you're supposed to engage with it. Like, Dark Souls 2 is far too varied to have a boss that really encapsulates the point of the game in the same way. The darkness is overwhelming. Dark Souls 2 has been here the whole time. What do you mean? We're always talking about Dark Souls 2. Souls 2 is the best one. It's impossible to not talk about it. And that's like not even a bit. It's the best one. I don't know. I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find a stream where I don't talk about Dark Souls 2 in some capacity. I did not mean to fall down here. This is tragic. Ow. Thankful. Pardon me. That's not even a guilty pleasure. It's just a good game. Has good build variety, has good world layout, has good progression, character and world progression. It has, like, probably the best level design. It's just good. Oh wow, I was really not expecting to one-shot these guys. They have the better curved sword and I'm still the better player. Thank you, Nito. I appreciate that. Oh, good. Yeah, I think Dark Souls 2 is the best I think it has the best multiplayer despite the mechanics. Like, it's the most intuitive to co-op, right? Feels like it's the most suited to that, despite soul memory and whatever being a thing. That's not what I wanted. Okay. I got parried. Everything's fine. Oh, this is bad. Get out. Nothing to worry about. Planned. Pretty neato. True. There we go. I think it's funny, like, that the general consensus around Dark Souls 2 is that it's the worst one, and then the people who watch my videos think it's the best one. That's how I know that I have a good community. Undead Parasite. My brain failed to function. How many players does Seamless support? Seamless is not out for Dark Souls 2 yet, but for Dark Souls 1 and 3, I think it's 6? I don't remember. 30 should be fine. That's because Dark Souls 2 is the best one. Of course it's your favorite. I know that the developer of Dark Souls 2 Seamless is actively playing through an alpha build, like with someone and ironing out bugs as they play, but I don't know what that means for like a progress timeline. But they are getting a lot more requests for it recently, so I assume that development will be a little bit more sped up, hopefully. I'm probably coping, but I'm really excited for Dark Souls 2 Seamless. I can see many Dark Souls 2 playthroughs in my future. Where wins meat? I've heard good things about that. It's free, right? I was thinking about trying it out, but I don't think I would stick with it for more than a couple hours. I'm probably gonna do Calamite this run. We're going pretty quick. 2 hours for DLC entrance is a lot faster than normal. So you can grieve the whole time. I'd be trying to get Whisper of Despair and you'd constantly be teleporting away. I don't know, I've never done Seamless with more than one person. You did miss the Pasakas, yeah. Does that mean it has a language model? Because if it has an LLM embedded into the game, that is disconcerting. Yes, hide and seek. Interesting. I think I'd rather just play prop hunt, to be honest. I'm gonna use soul items. I have quite a few. I love how the soul of a great hero gives you more souls than any boss soul. Black Knight weapons. I've done a playthrough with every Black Knight weapon. And I want to make a video going through with all of them in New Game Plus, New Game Plus, and New Game Plus. I think my favorite is probably the axe. The best is... I don't know. The best is either the axe or the halberd. But, you know. Excuse me. I think the Ultra Greatsword is probably the worst one, just because of the moveset on it and the damage not being significantly better than the Greatsword. Wait, what? I've never seen it not do the charge after that. Interesting. No. Oh. I think to really like get a ton of use out of Clear Swords, stamina restoration is kind of necessary to like really use them to their fullest. Like Florenthy would probably be the best ring to have on this class. And also Grass Crest would go a long way. Or maybe using stamina restoration consumable. I forgot what it's called. The weed. Still a pretty good weapon type regardless, as long as you're half decent at mana management. Yeah, green blossom. Good enough is an understatement. Vitality, I suppose. I forgot about the child mask. I haven't worn the child mask since my first playthrough. Yeah, Painting Guardian sword is just stupid. I think it uses less stamina than the scimitar. Don't quote me on that though. I mean, I always do the Pasaka as early as I can. I always do it right after the Four Kings. We got our double grab Pasaka feature today. Hello, Kawami. I mean, most bleed weapons can be buffed. Thorn Sword, Bandit's Knife, you know, Painting Guardian Sword. There aren't that many bleed weapons, huh? The Morningstar. Morningstar is a run that I'm actually really excited for. It's on the last, well, no, not the last bowl. It's on the next bowl. Which is my second to last. Technically my last. It's the last one with new weapons for Dark Souls 1, which is scary. The fact that I've streamed nearly every single weapon in Dark Souls. I wouldn't consider spellcasting a DPS build. It's a glass cannon build for sure, but I would argue not DPS. Because you have limited casts, and you also cast slower than most weapon attacks. You can't really like cast multiple spells in the same way you can press R1 multiple times for most weapons. I don't know. It's hard for me to say that spell casting is DPS, quote unquote. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure Painting Guardians don't actually deal bleed damage when they attack you. I technically Ricard's Rapier also has higher DPS than Painting Guardian Sword, but I think the Painting Guardian Sword is the problem with that is Ricard's Rapier. The only reason it has that DPS is because the R2s, which you know obliterate your stamina bar. So technically, it's high DPS, but it definitely feels more like a one-shot thing. It's very, very difficult to use, but when you use it, it is, like, insanely powerful. My second most viewed video on my channel is the highest DPS in Dark Souls, for which I didn't use Pyro Within or RTSR. But it was Painting Guardian Sword. And people mentioned Dark Bead and Ricard's Rapier. And I argued that the Painting Guardian Sword has higher DPS because it's sustained DPS. While you can't really sustain the DPS off of Ricard's or with spells. Did I use Dark Bead with my Mana Catalyst playthrough? I actually don't remember. That was a long time ago. That was one of my first streams, if I remember correctly. I think that was over a year ago at this point. Artoria shouldn't be too bad. Probably one of the quicker boss fights, actually, especially in the DLC. Menace I'm a little bit worried about, because R1ing Menace isn't usually the best idea. Usually jump attacks are going to be better, and that's kind of underwhelming on the Scimitar, but with the attack speed, I'm sure I'll be able to get two or three attack combos off. Attack combos of length 2 or 3, not only 2 or 3 attack combos. Words are hard, leave me alone. Just because I talk for a living doesn't mean I'm good at it. That's tragic. Come on. Let me attack you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The range. I don't know if that fourth attack is safe. I'm pretty sure it's not, but he usually dodges out of that, so that's fine. The speed of the weapon might make it safe anyway, regardless of what he does out of the stagger. Okay. I'm locked in trying to do a hitless Artorias for literally no reason. I don't know if this is safe. It's fine. I'm really excited to redo my Scythe playthrough since that was my first stream ever. I think I did all bosses in that stream too and beat it in like 3.5 hours, which was really not bad for one of my first streams ever. Also, hitless Artorias because I locked in for no reason. Extremely difficult, I assure you. Being stuck in your head is unfortunate. I thought you liked the game. Leveled up Vitality just to hitless a boss. Really tragic. I mean, I think the arm is broken and he doesn't feel the pain because of the corruption from the Abyss. Or the malice of the Abyss just kind of overrides the pain in the arm. I'm pretty sure it's so broken that he literally just cannot use his arm. But he still fights you. I don't know, I feel like one of the points of the Abyss is that it's not actually evil, it's just humanity. And because of the state of the world, it's like bad or something. I don't know. I feel like saying the malice from the Abyss is a misnomer in terms of lore, but whatever. Yeah, shattered. Like, so broken he cannot move it. Broken. They're just flopping around. Yeah, true. Quality is the best weapon scaling type, so it would destroy pretty much anything. We're not quite took off yet. Generic name. Still got a little bit to go. Uh-oh, that's tragic. This is so sad. Whoa. Wait, what the? I was not where I thought I was. What the heck? Oh, I was over on this side. Okay. I thought that was further along that way, to be honest. Well, I died before even the difficult part of the DLC. Was that my first death? I know I used the dark sign. No, I died in the depths on purpose. Never mind. No, because I bought... Gold Pine Resin. Was that my first death? Huh. I thought I died because I messed up a random jump. Ow. Oh my god. This is so tragic. No, please. Okay, everything's fine. But Manus had his pendant stolen. You can pacify Manus by just giving him his stuff back. I want to do a Deathless Dark Souls 1 run. Like actually trying to beat a Deathless instead of just happening to do a Deathless, because I've played the game 600 times. Because I've never actually done a Deathless playthrough. I guess I'm pretty sure that's the closest I've gotten. Obviously, if I just gone straight to Gwyn, I probably would have done it Deathless. Not like Gwyn is the hardest boss, so yeah, there you go. No, linking the fire doesn't kill you, it just makes you hollow. But yeah, I do have to do the Dark Lord ending, because the Dark Lord ending is objectively the correct one. It sets you on fire, but that's because you're the kindling for the fire. It saps your energy and makes you hollow. Like, linking the flame didn't kill Gwyn, you killed Gwyn, right? Because he hollowed. Because the fire sapped him of his energy and will to live. Pardon me? Oh, my nose itches. What the heck? Okay. Here's the actually difficult part of the DLC. It feels like I have a hair on my nose, but I don't. Why does it itch so much? But that's not how that works. That's not the lore at all. The lore of Dark Souls 2 is that it doesn't matter what happened in Dark Souls 1. It doesn't matter what you chose, because the world would go on so long that Dark Souls 2 would happen no matter what. That is an insane understatement. It exists so long after Dark Souls 1 that there have been countless people who have linked to the flame and countless people who defeated the one who linked to the flame and walked away. It's just so long after that, like, people don't even remember the idea of Gwyn, right? Gwyn barely exists in the lore of Dark Souls 2 because it's so long after. And there's, like, you know, so much has happened, regardless of what the canon ending, quote unquote, is of Dark Souls 1. It just becomes Dark Souls 2. The lore of Dark Souls 2 is that you need to return to Dragon. Yeah, Sekiro Deathless is pretty impressive. I think the thing about Sekiro is that your first playthrough is insanely hard, and then after that it gets easy. Relatively, because, like, I mean, I'm not even close to being able to do Deathless, obviously, but I didn't play Sekiro for months, and then I went back to it, and, like, I first tried almost all of the bosses, including Owl Father. Yeah, true. Dark Souls 2 took time is convoluted and made it interesting and cool, and Dark Souls 3 took time is convoluted and made it Dark Souls 1 nostalgia bait. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to stop the back shots, because the back shots are painful. I've beaten Sekiro a few times. I've gotten all but like 2 of the achievements, and they're all just ones that I need to grind for, which I don't feel like doing. Oop, I forgot. I'm not allowed to attack from neutral. I say as I continue attacking from neutral. Allfather is the hardest fight in Sekiro? I don't know. I found it pretty easy in my second playthrough, or my later playthroughs anyway. In my first playthrough, I think I found Inner Ishin, not Inner Ishin, normal Ishin, Gun Saint Ishin significantly harder. I don't know. In my first playthrough, Gun Saint Ishin definitely took the most tries, and I had to end up cheesing it with the umbrella. Oh, I've never done any of the inner bosses. Dramatically uninteresting to me, just because it's at the end of a boss gauntlet, and I do not like the idea of boss gauntlets in Sekiro. Oh, really? Okay. The ring. Okay, come on. Oh my goodness. No. I got caught in the combo. This is tragic. That never happens. That's like the easiest of his attacks to dodge at this point. And also the only reason that learning how to fight him was atrocious. As a follow-up, I forgot. Oh. I'm being unnecessarily greedy. It's for content. I'm throwing for content. As a streamer, I must. It's my duty. Whoa. That was scary. Who's that duty? I can taste. Oh, me. I am a woman. She, her pronouns. Oops, hold on. Yeah, the silver pendant. I used to think the silver pendant was required for hit list. It is very much not. You just gotta learn how to dodge them. The only remotely difficult one is the shotgun, and even then you just go to the side a little bit. Okay. Few more soul items to use. No reason to level that up anymore, but it's funny, so it's okay. Alright, generic name. It's your time. Get your copy paste ready. Yeah, Manus. Well, I don't know. Most bosses in Dark Souls 1, and especially Dark Souls 2, are very strafeable. Dark Souls 2 is very positioning based. In that way, what we were talking about, or what I was talking about, I guess, earlier with Dark Souls 2 not really having a boss that encapsulates how you're supposed to play the game. No, excuse me. I think Fume Knight is the closest that it gets because Fume is very, very positioning based. And I think understanding that going into the fight makes it really easy. I've never really struggled with Fume Knight. I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people consider him one of the hardest bosses in the game. But I just never have. I've never found him even half as difficult as most of the other DLC bosses, right? I've always found Sin way harder, and Sin isn't even that particularly difficult, personally. So I don't know. I think you just like really have to understand the positioning and understand how his animations relate to and communicate the required positioning. I think Sin has a really good fight. I think I've turned around on Sin. I used to really dislike Sin just because he moves around so much. But once you understand how positioning plays into his movements, I think he's a lot more fun. I've come around on Sin a lot. I think Smelter Demon is one of the strongest examples of like how important positioning can be as well. Obviously Pursuer, but Pursuer is such an early game boss that you can beat it without understanding that at all. Smelter is for sure one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 2. ADP is extremely unnecessary, but also makes the game like 1,000 times easier. I really love that about Dark Souls 2. It encourages you to experiment with builds, and if you know, like don't want to rely on rolling, you very much do not have to. We're already on Calamy. Of course my mind's in the gutter. What do you expect from this channel? Oh my god, everything's fine. Glide. Come on, do the tail slam. Everyone here wants to see your ass. I mean, what? The gutter is a Dark Souls 2 area, but it's where my mind goes when I'm fighting Calamy. You just walk behind Freya. Wait, you don't... Freya is like one of the bosses where rolling is the least useful. I don't think there's any Freya attack that I specifically try to dodge through. Because as soon as she attacks, you just go to the opposite side. Calamy is vaguely onyx colored? Yeah. Aren't most black dragons? Yeah, true. Torch also makes Freya vastly easier. But that doesn't make the boss itself easier. So if you already have the spiders dead, it doesn't really make a difference. I guess I do respawn occasionally. There we go. There you go, Ben, for when you watch the VOD. I accidentally wasn't pressing the block button, so I jumped instead of... Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to worry about. Go ahead and put a couple of those. Hey, Calamy, how's it going? Demon Titan weapon in Dark Souls 1? Ugh, none of them? I don't know. I'm trying to think. There aren't that many that I actually like. There are some that I like, but I can't think of them off the top of my head because they're not... You know, Fury Sword is fun, but that's kind of a boring answer. Life on Scythe is also fun. Chaos Blade. It's probably Life on Scythe. Calamite's easy, it's fine. Yeah, most of the boss weapons are really not good. And the only ones that are good have gimmicks. Like Life on Scythe. You think you see the appeal? Yeah, just imagine Onyx doing it instead, and you'll understand. I mean, just put on like Blood Bite or Blood Shield, or like even the gold hem set is more than enough to deal with blood loss buildup on Life Hunt. I don't know. The bleed buildup is like such a non-issue with Life Hunt Scythe. I don't think I ever used blood moss or red moss clumps with that run. That was a long time ago too. Flink altar indeed. All right, pretty quick run. 2 hours 40 minutes into fire or into kiln. Great Lord Greatsword is probably the most. Oh, you know what? I should do a run with that in new game. Oh my god. Okay. I've been thinking about it. For my last Dark Souls 1 weapon pull, after the next pull, so I have a pull up right now that has like the Silver Knight Spear and whatever, and the Mailbreaker. For the next pull, it will be weapons, or it'll be my last one with new weapons, and then one more pull after that for runs that I want to redo. So there's the ones that I already have on there are the Scythe, which was my very first stream that I want to do as my last stream. And then there's also the Velka's Rapier, because when I did that run, I very much did not do the weapon justice. There's the Dragon Bone Fist with the same scenario, and the Four-Pronged Plow, because my internet died during that stream. So the Great Lord Greatsword could definitely be a good addition for a 4th weapon, so I don't have to put the Scythe on the pull itself, and I can just guarantee that as the last stream that I do. Since Kiln Escape is a thing now, since you can beat Gwyn and get his soul in new game. That'd be fun. Okay, I don't think there's any setup I need to do. Bonk. Yeah, Andre cannot make boss weapons. I was just thinking of doing Kiln Escape. Wrong warp into the kiln. Sure. Oh my god, I reacted it. Small shields are OP. Never mind, I was wrong. My bad. Small shields are broken. That was stupid. Anyway. I do Kiln Skip with, or after Ornstein and Smough, and then Great Lord Greatsword. Oh no, you can't do Wrong Warp. Kiln Skip. After, or if you want to do Kiln Escape. I forgot. I don't know how I'm gonna do that then. I could just cheat it. I don't know, but that kind of ruins the point of redoing the run in the first place. Anyway, thoughts on the Wanderer class is pretty good. Scimitar is dramatically okay. Obviously, it would be way, way better if I used a Painting Guardian Sword or the Bountian even. But even without that, the Scimitar is very powerful because it's a curved sword, of course. The shield is cool. I forget that using a small shield makes parrying insanely easy. Yeah. Extremely easy video game, yeah. Yeah, Silver Knight Straight Sword is extremely underwhelming, I agree. Anyway, I'll figure out what my last weapon pull is going to be. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love you all, and I don't know how to end this.